Advancement. Okay, here we go. Strap in, please. So I talked about experience being different in this game. Experience is both experience points and a resource. I'm going to touch on this again when we talk about rules, when we do, a little later when we kind of break down how the game works. But there are only 6 tiers. You start at tier 1, you go to tier 6. The only way to get up a tier is you have to fulfill specific criteria. And this is actually easier to show on the Old Gods sheet itself, which I don't have pulled up right now. But at the top of that sheet, you will see these 4 check boxes, and they do different things. So you have to spend 4 experience to get one of those check boxes. There are other options, sort of. There are like these 3 or 4 secondary options that you can pick instead, but you can only do that once. It only replaces one of the 4, let's call them milestones, that you have to buy with your experience. I really wish I had that pulled up because since it doesn't display it here, I don't think it'll show on my screen.
It does show on the regular PDF if you have that handy.
Yeah, I don't think I can get it to the screen. I'm going to try really fast, but do y'all have questions? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say without having a thing to show?
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Let me see here. I don't think I can. Oh, it is pulling up. Perfect. So this is what I'm talking about here. So our sheet that we're using on Roll20, it makes you type them in. It doesn't have them listed. But if you're playing Old Gods, which hopefully you are if you're watching this, you're looking at the character sheet that they're giving you in the back of the book. These each cost 4 experience. You have to pay 4 experience to do any of these 4 things, or one of these things. So, and like it says, look, it even gives you the page number for these extra things that you can do. But once you fulfill 4 of these 5, you go up to tier 2. And then when you get to tier 2, you get to pick more abilities. It sounds like we were talking about earlier. So go back to your type and go back to your focus. See what they grant you at higher tiers. But that's 16 experience to get there. On top of experience being able to be used for quite a few other things. We'll talk about a little later. So that's how character advancement works. In our game, it may be funny. I'm going to try to hand out XP like candy. But there may be times where I go, okay, we've completed a certain part of the story. You all get 17 experience because I need y'all to go up a level or something. We'll see. We'll find out. Y'all that know the Cypher System, don't judge me if you're watching this campaign later. Because we've never done this before. All right. Does that make sense? Y'all see how that works?
Yeah, I think it's coming back to me. Because I know we made it to tier 2 in Josh's campaign.
Yeah, at the very end.
Still enough to do it, though. You're right.
Yeah, is that because the campaign just didn't go very long, or did everybody?
It was 3 sessions.
Was it a TPK or?
No, we were just trying out the system.
Yeah, Luther's Fall was like a short adventure out of the back of the Old Gods of Appalachia book. So
I got you.
Josh ran that for us to sort of learn the system, which is why some of us sort of know what's going on. Only reason.
Yeah, those are usually pretty short.
Okay, so and then just to reiterate, because in case I wasn't clear about it, you have to do at least 3 of these. Doesn't matter which 3. You got to do at least 3, and then this one, the other one, or all 4 of these regular ones here. So I guess that's what I'm trying to highlight is you can take multiple of these other options if you wanted to for 4 experience, but it's not going to level you up until you've taken 3 of these. Y'all see what I'm getting at? It only replaces 1. All right.
166.
And so you would just type whichever one you took into, your little tier 1 advantage here on your little character sheet. Easy peasy. Recovery. Since I covered the damage track, I'll go ahead and cover recovery here and maybe skip it in the rules part. You don't have short and long rest like we're used to. Instead, you have these recovery rolls. I wonder what that printed in chat. So recovery is always a D6 plus your tier level, which it looks like I didn't. He's tier 2, so I never fixed this. Boop. My effort is also 2. Very cool. Oh, there's an XP tracker up here. I wonder where we hold our XP. So while we're playing, guys, you guys may be in like 16 or 20, or like y'all may end up with some weird numbers because it's meant to be spent, and you need so much of it to get those advancements that, like, I'm gonna hand it out a lot. I hope I'm gonna do my best to hand it out a lot because it's meant to be spent. I don't remember how much you had now. I give up. All right. Recovery rolls are always D6s plus your tier level, just 2. You roll this D6 and add your tier level to it every time you take a rest. Rests take longer each time you take one. So your very first rest takes an action. So your very first rest can be like 6 seconds. It can be in the middle of combat, and you can roll this D6 and add 2 to it to restore to any of your pools over here. And so, and the book even calls this out. If you're in a fight and you take your first rest and to get some points back in your pools over here, after that fight, you can take 10 minutes and rest again and roll that 1d6 plus 2 again right after the fight to take a 10-minute rest. And they're not group locked. Anyone can choose to take or not take a rest at any time. So if only a couple of you need that 10 minutes, only a couple of you have to take that 10 minutes. But like I said, they get longer as you go. So the same thing with the next rest. When you take a third rest, it takes an hour. You roll the 1d6, you get to add 2, you get to distribute that amongst these pools however you want. But the last one takes 10 hours. The last rest takes 10 hours. And it's assumed, usually, by the time you finish that last rest, that there's a new day has started. So you're starting, over again with that one action. Do you have any questions before I keep blabbing?
Yes. So that's per day. That kind of goes by, and you get up to 3 a day. Is that what you're saying, basically? The last one being 10 hours.
Theoretically, it's 4. I see. Yeah, sort of see what you're saying. That 10-hour. I think the idea is that 10-hour one is going to push you over into the next day.
I see.
Another thing to note is that if you remove down the damage track, like by an attack or a poison or something, you can, instead of rolling the dice, you can just have it move you back up the damage track. One of your rest can just move you back up that damage track instead of regaining points.
That's actually pretty cool.
It's very flexible.
It's very flexible. What do you mean by that exactly?
So the scenario is that you got poisoned by something. You went from hail to impaired, right? And in this very specific scenario that I'm creating, that attack didn't do any damage. So you didn't take any damage during the fight. That's the only thing that hit you. So all of your pools are full, right? So you could take a rest, and instead of rolling dice to gain points back, because you don't need them, you're full, you can move back up to hail on the damage track.
I gotcha.
Sorry, Goblin. Didn't mean to step on you, buddy. All right. Are we good before I move on to Cyphers? I know that was between the damage track and the recovery. It's different than anything we've ever done, and it's a good bit to take in when someone's blabbing at you 80 miles an hour. There you go. Cyphers. I tried to explain this earlier while we were off mic. You can only carry so many at a time. You do start with 2. your GM, the book says the GM should select your first 2 for you. They are like magical items in Dungeons and Dragons, sort of. Pardon. They do things like heal people. So there are some ciphers that do things like make it hard for people to eavesdrop on you. There are ciphers that make you invisible. There are ciphers that obscure an area or just do damage. I likened them to Josh one day to grenades. So they inhabit this weird power niche of they're not as strong as like a +3 sword. They're not, because they're not persistent. They have so many uses and then they go away. So they're sort of like a health potion, but also like a grenade is how I've sort of settled on it. They can do damage, or they can heal, or they can do a utility thing like make you invisible. They're like spells in D&D, sort of, but they're meant to be used a bunch and a bunch to be found. That makes sense. They're like consumable items in an RPG where, they can do a certain thing, but it's not just heal or just damage.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of variety to them.
There are quite
I remember there was like one I had last time, and it like exclusively just identified an item or something like that.
Yes. There was one that yes. So be prepared to find there are some I will hand out more than others because I have a limited amount to work with, but I want them to be pretty frequently reoccurring. You can hurt yourself if you carry more than like 2. I think if you then like you have to make a roll for like the magic between them to sort of conflict with each other. So they're meant to be used prolifically. That's why it's called as I was reading one day, that's why it's called the Cypher System. They are your spells / magic power / utility items / they serve lots of purposes like everything else in the system.
And just to reiterate, as a character who has an inability to magic, I would still be able to use these ciphers.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
I think this will be determined. So Josh and I had the same question because Robert has an inability to magic. I will relook at that. Is that right, Josh? We determined you can use ciphers. You can't cast spells or use.
As far as I remember it was the same idea as like in D&D. You can't use a spell book because you don't know magic, but if you find a magical item, you could still use it theoretically.
So, because I think that inability to understand magic is to apply in like you find the cultist casting a ritual. It'd be very difficult for you to make a roll to determine what the fuck they're doing.
Right. And I would imagine being a Cypher system that you would still be able to use them.
Yeah, I'm almost positive everyone can use them because, like you just said, that's they're the namesake of the system. That was the big thing I took away is they're supposed to be used a lot. They're supposed to be found a lot. So y'all be prepared to find some of the same a lot. The equivalent to a health potion, I'll probably give to y'all a decent amount. There's one that increases armor, probably give to y'all a decent amount. So sort of like an RPG, or I guess we're playing an RPG, sort of like video game RPGs, you can expect to have these buffs you might need that you come to depend on, healing, armor. We'll see which ones y'all like.
Yeah, going down a slight rabbit hole, someone likened ciphers to like using technology in a world full of magic where somebody's already pre-prepared the magic and you're just utilizing the implement versus using the magic itself.
Indeed.
Magic wand.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not a bad D&D equivalent. Yeah. Yeah, so just to give an example of like some of them are very unique. Your GM obviously has the book that has them in it, but this one makes it so that someone you're looking at has trouble communicating. It hinders their interactions. So that's cool. That's cool, right?
Make you ugly?
I think it's supposed to be like you're tongue tying someone because you sold the doll's mouth shut. So it's like components in D&D. You're not they don't usually provide to you what you do with the components, but it, like Josh was just saying, someone's made this item and it has some components and you do some things with these components and it causes something to happen. They're actually pretty neat thematically. I need to put y'all's on your sheet if it's not late when we get done. I'll do that tonight.
Or you can copy paste it, private message.
I can put it on your sheet for you.
So, would we be able to purchase ciphers anywhere, or is this only found in the environment? I would
Guess that
imagine if there's a local
would
witch
be
doctor.
for. So that's a good question. I'm going to talk to both you and YouTube. That would be up to your GM. That's something that's going to be discussed in session 0. And so next week we will go over, kind of what to expect in the regard of how prevalent is magic in the world. I can go ahead and tell you for us, we're going for like a supernatural kind of vibe where like the bad stuff exists, but only really the people that sort of hunt them believe in it kind of deal. Uh, that doesn't mean you can't buy them. They just may be harder to get. They may be harder to find people that sell them. Okay. Any more questions before I move on to equipment? All right. This is quick and easy. If you're wearing certain amounts of armor, lowers your speed. Money is, I think you start with like $2 or $3 or something because it's like 1914 to 1920, somewhere in there. Again, session 0 material. Also, if you're a GM watching this, don't worry too much about it. It's somewhere between those times. One of the hardest things when I first started DMing was understanding that like the super minute details don't always matter.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Especially something like
Until
what
your
year is it?
player asks about it, and then you just make it up.
Yeah. I mean, how often is it really going to matter the exact year? Not often. So that's pretty easy. So your items, your type tells you. I keep forgetting the exact wording. You get like 4 inexpensive items, 3 moderately priced items, 2 not expensive items. I don't remember the tiers, but your type should lay that out for you. Like how many items you get to start with. That includes, at least the best we can tell, that includes weapons. So if you want your one expensive item to be a weapon that's listed as expensive, you can do that. At least that I'm pretty sure that's what we determined from when we were playtesting and looking
Yeah, it's all about the tables are in the GM's guide, so it's all about what's on the tables and what you can pick. So your full descriptor gives you how many like expensive, inexpensive, and moderately expensive items you get, and then you just pick those.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe you get a weapon of your choice and then X amount of those weapons or items rather.
items.
I think it does depend on your class, maybe.
Yeah, the type.
The number of items may.
Yeah, because like a spell focused starting class does not give you weapons out the gate, I don't think. But most other ones, like if you use something that, like if you're doing a protector, for instance, you start out with a weapon, guaranteed.
Yeah, same for Explorer.
Same.
Yeah, so, and actually, this is a great chance. I'm going to be the one that gets the green highlight. Like and subscribe if this is helping you so far. And if you want a video about the differences between the classes, drop us a comment. Let us know. I don't care if it's one comment. I will make the video. I will explain my understanding so far of the differences.
There's
All
a lot
that
of cool
did was
stuff there.
make me want to comment, so you have to make the video.
You don't need if you need the video, I'll make it just for you. Even one person is helped by a video of me rambling about the class differences. I will make it. So we're done with equipment now. You would just write. Obviously, again, you can't select. You have to write what the item is. I think this is supposed to. That just puts it in chat. Easy peasy. Artifacts. I only recently read about artifacts myself. They're like ciphers, but my understanding is that they're permanent. These are much closer to our understanding of magical items in D&D. They do certain things. They have certain abilities. They don't expire to my understanding, but they have consequences. So I think the GM actually is aware of the consequence for each artifact. So if you're going to brew an artifact to GMs, keep in mind it's come due is what they call it. And if you roll a 1 on a 1d20, then something bad happens to you. There's a price to use these items. So that's my understanding of artifacts. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. I didn't read a ton about artifacts.
No, you're right. If they roll a 1, typically like this one that I gave you here, it breaks. You just don't have
Okay.
it anymore.
Okay.
But the one thing that I didn't do that you should keep in mind is that when you find an artifact, they're supposed to be extremely powerful, which means they're supposed to also grant XP. So you're supposed to get XP when you find an artifact for the first time.
Good to know.
Oh, Rocky Top.
I'm digging it. The endorphin rush when Rocky Top started was real. One more sleep. I'm having withdrawals. Didn't have a game last week. Y'all got any more of that Tennessee football? All right, y'all. So that's mostly the character sheet. Do y'all have any questions for me before we take a very quick break? And then start talking about like the rule structure. I will say also for YouTube, if y'all have any questions or something didn't make sense, hit us up in the comments. This is to help people like us who are learning the Cypher system.
Just confirming we are starting tier 1, right?
Yes, sir. And sometimes your GM may choose to give you an XP advance, it's called in the Old Gods of Appalachia book. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. That may make more sense after our break when I'll talk a little bit more about all the stuff you can use EX or use XP for. Like I said, it is a resource as well. I'm going to close this. Not what I wanted to do. I suck.
Nah.
Oh, I broke it. Anyway, we're going to go to break and I'll unbreak it.
I